When I was little, I wondered how people won't fall apart in a crisis. Then I realized most people are psychopaths and able to completely turn off their emotions. That was the first time I felt home in this world.
So hey guys, how are you doing? I hope you're doing great. Today I'm going to show you the text to video and the image to video workflows. Both of them are going to be extremely similar, so I'm just going to have to explain this once and then you're going to see what's the difference. And if you want the files, the workflows, please join either the Patreon or Discord. It's free. Even if I say join Patreon, it just means like you click on the follow button. It's free. So it's just literally for like security reasons. So if you want to download the file, you can just have it from there, or you can have it from Discord. And let's go into the video. Here you see a secondary upscaling method that I used. This was just for experimenting, but I thought maybe I'm just gonna leave it in here because some of you might enjoy it. And if you don't need it, you can just remove it. You can just delete it. So the way the workflow works is very similar to the previous ones. Here, I actually just made a little bit of extra effort and tried to link in all of the files that you would need. So the workflow functions, and I even made like a folder tree, like where you can put stuff. The only thing that I didn't put in here because I didn't want it to make it confusing is this. This is the LTX model, and this is the model if you don't use GGUF. Okay. And if you don't use GGUF, you would put it into the checkpoints folder. But you can also put it into the diffusion models folder, right? Like this model, you could put it in here. Now, what I recommend is not this, because this is kind of the original form of it, but I recommend to put it into the diffusion models folder. Here is why. These are all of the nodes that you can load any of the models. Like basically this is for the GGUF models. One of these will definitely work for people. You don't need the other ones. As long as one of them work, you can even remove the other ones if you use a GGUF model because you lack some VRAM to use the full model. But if you use the full model and for some reason you find it hard or slow to use the diffusion model loader node, then use it from the checkpoints, which means you put your model into the checkpoint folder. But otherwise, put your model into the diffusion models folder, because usually what I noticed is that it's just faster, which makes no sense, but also makes sense because technically it shouldn't be faster, but in reality, I noticed that it's actually faster. So I'm just doing that. I'm just using the diffusion model loader node, and this is how I use the model. I just put it into the diffusions folder, and that's how I load it up from. When it comes to the VAEs, obviously I'm using the old school Kijai VAE loader for video and VAE loader for audio. The clip loader for I'm using the Gemma 312v ITFP4 mixed. There's some people who are using the I think the uncensored or something, I don't know what it's called, like, or maybe obliterated version. I think that's the one. But for most people, this is just gonna be fine. And if you wanna do other stuff with LTX, then yeah, you need the obliterated version. I don't have the link for that. Sorry, you need to look into where it is. And there is the embeddings connector as well, which you would need. Like, just make sure it's this version, right? Like, you see this, please make sure if you use this, you use this version. You know why? Because there is some people who told me that they are having trouble with the workflow erroring out, and then I was like, yeah, well, like, what are you using? And then when they sent me a screenshot, I just realized, like, yeah, you're using the wrong file here. You need to choose the correct file. And then after that, they sent me a message like, oh yeah, okay, actually that works. I was like, cool, that's great. Like, that's what we all want. Like, we just want our workflow to work, and sometimes we just, because of all of these numbers and letters, we just miss a file. And because it's a different file, then sometimes there's a compatibility error and it's just not gonna work. So just make sure that all the files are actually matching and they work together. And even if you download custom files because you wanna do other stuff, then make sure that those custom files are also working together with the other ones. And if, you know, there's sometimes like guidelines how to use them. Then we have our LoRa loaders. I just put in 4, but if you want, you can put in more or less. It's also your choice. I am not using the text encoder helper thingy. I just figured that just slows things down, like useless, so I'm not using it. I just make my own prompts. You can make a pretty long prompt like this one, or you can make a short prompt like this one. This prompt is way shorter, and both of them work perfectly fine. You just need to make sure that the organization of the prompt and the way it's written is understandable for the model. And also you see that I put quite a long dialogue in here. So when you have like a long dialogue, you also need to kind of make sure that you give it time to be able to speak that long dialogue. Because if you try to push this into 5 seconds, it's just gonna try to speak very fast and cuts out half of it. Then there's other settings that you can see. So for example, I have it here for horizontal. This is going to be full HD. So the reason I'm using half is because I'm using a 2 times upscaler here. So I don't really need it on full HD, because it would go crazy on the upscaling, because it would try to create a 4K video. And I'm fine with full HD. So for that, I just run it on 960 by 544. And the first sampling is going to be of 960 by 544, which you can see is already pretty good if you have a good LoRa. And then here in the upscaler, it upscales it to full HD. And then there's also a few things about the settings other than just the size. By the way, this one here, if you can see that I swapped the numbers around. It's literally just for if I want to do vertical videos. And if I want to do horizontal videos, I just disconnect it. It's just I'm being lazy and I just want to do it super easily instead of like setting up the numbers and whatever. And this way I never have to change the node. I just connect and disconnect. Anyways, okay, so other settings. We have the usual audio, custom audio. So here is where you would choose your custom audio. Make sure that this is on 0 unless you want the start time inside the audio at like later. Like let's say you're making a music video and you have a 2-minute long clip and you're creating 20-second long videos here with your prompt. So each times you have to push your start time like 20 seconds away, because you already made the first 20 seconds. So you make the next 20 seconds and then you make the next 20 seconds and so on and so on. Here's something important that I want to tell you. Euler Ancestral, I've seen, this is like one of the most reasonable like sampler that you can use, because this is pretty fast and also very much in focus. Euler is a little bit softer. Rest2s is like, is okay, but it's super slow compared to everything else. So I'm just using it on Euler Ancestral, and then sometimes if there's something that I maybe want to try out, I just change it. The step count, that's really interesting. So most of my LoRa's, I noticed that I definitely don't need more than 19 steps. Like sometimes when I use the LoRa and I went over 19 steps, I actually noticed that there might be actually an overcooking going on. So either I would have to lower the LoRa rank or lower the step count. And because I don't like to wait much, I just rather have the step count lower. But when there's like a super difficult scene that the LoRa is actually having a problem with, you can raise the step count, obviously. You're not gonna like ruin it that much, but you are able to overcook it. I have done it before. So 19 steps seems to be like a really, really good like length for the first sampling. And the second sampling is very interesting. So I have it on this Sigma. This is a 3-step Sigma. So with this one, you're only working 3 steps in the second sampling. And it's fine mostly, and it's going to match almost perfectly your second upscaled sampling to this one. But sometimes you may need more steps. Now, if you need more steps, use any of these. I think this is a 4-step, and this is 5 or 6, and this is like 8. So whichever you want to use depends on how good or bad the quality here is going to be. But also keep in mind, if you use more steps, there is going to be more detail change in the video. The video might get a little bit better quality, but it's going to change the original that you get from here, and this is going to look different. And that's about it. Like, everything else is just kind of the same compared to the old workflows. Most of the files are understandably, it's just there, and you can just download them from LTX's official Hugging Face or Kijai, depending on what files are you using. And the image to video, exactly the same. Everything that I said is exactly the same, with one tiny detail difference, is that you obviously put in image. This image is going to be upscaled to a full HD image, and here the first sampler is gonna get half of that. Well, actually, technically it's a quarter of the image, but whatever. So the first sampler is gonna be the smaller version of the image, and then the second sampler is going to be the full HD version of the image, so it won't make mistakes. And that way, this workflow is actually better than the other one. And same deal, if you want to use the vertical version, you just connect these up and swap around the numbers. And if you don't want to use it vertically, then just don't connect them and use them horizontally. This literally functions for that. Otherwise, if you don't need it, you can delete these, and then you can just mess around with the dials here to set up your size. But here, the input, this has to be on full HD. Here, the input has to be half of that, because I don't have any of the calculations here set up, because I don't need that. And yeah, by the way, I made a cartoon YouTube. If you guys want to check it out, it's called Nexony, and I'm putting a link in the description, and you can check it out if you want. Otherwise, thank you for being here. Thank you for watching my videos. Thank you for downloading my workflows, and thank you for being part of the community and the Discord. And if you are new here, please join the Discord, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and check out Patreon for the workflows, because I make the workflows available on Patreon and on Discord. Thank you, and bye.